look like he can't actually see.
I think that's exactly what it is.
I thought this run was a joke, but it's...
So, before we get to the conclusion and his apology, I am going to speculate he can see the whole time and just does his best to act like it's blind. Mario 64 speedrun. I love cheating. I love this kind of shit. Let's see. I have not heard of this before.
Despite the immense popularity of Super
Jesus,
Mario
what is that? A
64
fucking
speedrunning,
soiled diaper on his
there's a comparatively
face?
small amount of people running the blindfolded categories, a testament to how difficult
Or like a heating pad?
really is. And so it was surprising when I was on Twitch this week and was notified of another runner doing blindfolded 16-star runs. Blindfolded runs of Super Mario 64 have recently been made popular by a small but extremely dedicated group of runners. However, there are clear differences
It's such a cool
between the runs
category.
that those already established players have done and the runs that this particular person is completing. The main difference, of course, being that this particular runner is creating fake runs and
Thanks to
attempting
Prime,
to pass them off as
Mobot.
real. I have here a video of one of these runs, and I aim to show some of the clear discrepancies between this run and the genuine blindfolded runs of SM64 that are out there. When watching this run, it's important to note that the author claims not to have practiced blindfolded speedrunning much at all, and that this is apparently only his third blindfolded run. He claims to make up for this with the fact that he's been playing Super Mario 64 for the past 3.5 years. However, it should be noted that despite the amount of time he has spent on the game, the best time on a run he has currently submitted is an 1826.
Ew.
Relatively mid-level time for 16-star. The first thing
Pathetic.
that actually put me off when I was watching this run was the fact that the streamer had both follow alerts and text-to-speech alerts on.
Let's go. Thank you for the follow.
If you've ever seen a blindfolded speedrun before, you will know that runners pretty much always have these kind of sound alerts turned off. Considering how important sound cues are when you literally can't see, you would think that he would do the same. However, this guy
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
He doesn't even need clear sound cues to do the run. Throughout this run, he also attempts multiple times to explain the strategies that he's been using.
Is there some
except there are
disco
multiple
and OG
problems
sound?
with what he's saying versus the things he's actually
No, I
doing.
don't know what that is, Rip.
He mainly claims to be using a combination of sound cues and muscle memory for most of his strats. Most speedrunners know, however, that visual cues in particular are just as important as muscle memory in many cases. It's very unrealistic to assume that anyone could just casually do a blindfolded run off of visual muscle memory alone, no matter how long that person has been playing.
I've tried to do stars. I can't do 1 star blindfolded. Like, even though I've played this game for years and years and years, even trying to do 1 star blindfolded is
No, I haven't seen this.
insanely difficult.
Blindfolded speedruns often employ what are called normalized strategies. A normalized strategy is any strat that is done in such a way that the outcome is always exactly the same. In Super Mario 64, many of these kinds of strategies can be employed. For example, moving in a cardinal direction on the
Spider
controller
Guy and
with notches,
Jadenator.
using 2 slow walks to ledge grab at the corner of a platform, or punching...
I honestly thought
against
this
Mario
guy was the cheater because this thing looks so over the top. Straight up just looked like, it looks like Among Us. Like, this shit is crazy. I thought that this was some kind of elaborate scam, but I'm guessing this is a legitimate runner. What is he wearing? Can someone, like, it's not a blindfold. This is like a whole goddamn, like, face sauna thing. Some, like, actual Daft Punk shit. It's a towel? How's that a towel? It's like karate safety gear that SpongeBob wore. Hats off to him though. Like this, it looks fucking crazy. Like this is hardcore.
Words of fixed distance are all normalized strats. As you can imagine, these kinds of strats are often completely different from the
He's
ones
a tier
you'd
1
see in a
H,
normal
and
run,
they give sub
and
Rowlo
require
and resub
hundreds of
Connor.
hours to properly learn. And
No,
yet this
sweet.
person
Thanks,
is
Ahmed.
claiming to have a 33-minute time after openly admitting to having little to no preparation. Keep that in mind when you look at the so-called blindfolded strats that are claimed to be employed here. The run begins in Bob-omb Battlefield with Behind the Chain Chomp's Gate. Looking at a legitimate example by Bubsia, you can see that a consistent setup with clear intention is being used in order to get onto the Chain Chomp's pole. Note the use of a notched angle.
Turns out
and fixed
everyone's
camera in
cheating.
order to guarantee
They're all
that
just
the
trying to
hole in
pretend
corner
the
of
best they
gate.
can.
Comparatively, this runner seemed to have absolutely no normalized setup whatsoever. He takes what looks like either an intentional death or a legitimate mistake, and then tries again a second time. This time around, he seems to be using an almost completely different, yet still unnormalized setup to get onto the pole. The unexpected hit that he takes here from the Chain Chomp should have immediately thrown him off, and yet he is somehow still able to turn around and recover. The runner seems to be using intentional mistakes along with fake setups to try to sell the idea that he is actually blindfolded. Many more of these will come up throughout the run.
Thanks to the Resub Mastodon,
The run is already
Fluffy
off to a
Llama,
suspicious start.
Alex God
However,
Gaming,
the
and
first
Zelox.
absolutely massive red flag appears in Womp's Fortress when the runner decides to opt for Owlless, a strat usually reserved for sighted runs. It should be noted how much the runner is talking during this very input-heavy and spacing-dependent section.
Did I check for saves? No, because I don't save the game.
Again,
What a
anyone who has watched
Chad!
a real blindfolded speedrun before knows how quiet runners tend to be during difficult sections. With how much focus and skill are required to complete a blindfolded run, it's an anomaly that this runner with barely any practice is so casually able to do a strat that no other blindfolded runner has attempted.
Well, he's
And
just
yet
the
with
god
absolutely
gamer.
no normalized strats, he seems to do everything with some relative ease. Looking at a run that this same runner has done without a blindfold, you can actually see that he can do the exact same movements, blindfold or not. His muscle memory must really be that good. On his first attempt, he is able to triple jump wall kick up to the floating island without giving himself any sort of indication where he is. With absolutely no normalization, he's able to attempt and
He's
fail
got his
Owlless
gaming
before
Sharingan
finally
on.
landing it a fourth time. He even comments on the fact that he should probably learn how to use the owl blindfolded.
Maybe I should learn how to just ride the owl blindfolded.
It's anyone's guess why he didn't opt to learn this much more consistent strat in the first place. In the next star, he goes for the traditional cannonless
Is there
setup
some
that you would
random
normally
guy?
see in most sighted runs. Once again, looking at a blindfolded version of this strat, there is a clear intention with every input using normalized movements and guaranteed setups. Looking back
God,
at
the
this
blindfolded
however,
run is
the movement
crazy.
across the falling bridge and over to the piranha plant is extremely wobbly and very inconsistent. He then lines up next to the plank using these extremely small adjustments that have no audio cues whatsoever. Anyone that runs this game or has even tried this trick before knows that it's
Yeah, this is super fake. Oh
the
my
only possible
god.
way anyone could do it
He didn't even
blindfolded,
try.
The movement used here would be if they weren't actually blindfolded at all, and were instead using a distinctly visual cue. The run only gets more and more suspicious from this point onward. Following a couple more extremely wonky and unnormalized setups in Cool Cool Mountain, we reach Bowser in the Dark World, the first Bowser stage. Here, only a true gamer such as this man would be able to somehow sidestep this Goomba, quickly make his way up the path, and then do this long jump to the next red, all completely blindfolded and with absolutely no setup necessary. Simply amazing.
What was the point though? Like, surely he didn't think
I
that.
heard you, Goomba.
He then pushes a Goomba that he claims he heard, even though there is no good
He
way
smelt
of
it.
gauging distance that precise with sound cues.
No, he's got a super sniffer. He's like Scooby Doo.
Faster and safer to just keep walking forward anyway.
There's no way he'd think that he'd
Notice
fool the
then
whole
the
community
small
that
adjustment he
actively
makes in
runs
order to
this
be
game
lined up
though,
with the final
blindfolded.
slope. Anyone who is actually blindfolded here would have almost certainly
what's the
kept
point?
holding right with no adjustment. And yet this man somehow knew he was just a little too far down, despite having absolutely no real setup beforehand. If none of this was suspicious enough, then next we have the first Bowser throw. Looking at legitimate runs by Katoon and
Thanks to
Bubsy,
the
you
resub,
can see that a
Maxi
setup is
Pad,
being used to slowly move
Blade,
Bowser into
finishing
the bomb
touches,
without even
and
throwing
Rex
him.
Lord.
For a faster strat, you can also toss him a little earlier with a slower spin, which provides a much larger frame window than normal to hit the throw. It should be noted that there is a combination of pause buffering and a sound cue. When Mario is spinning Bowser, a distinctive whoosh noise will play. This noise will always play whenever Bowser faces
Thanks,
north,
Resub Daxify.
regardless of the camera angle or Bowser's orientation.
Thank you, Sky
when
Shark.
grabbing
Well, I
him.
hope you're doing well.
Furthermore,
Thank you for the kind words.
whoosh will make a slightly different sound depending on what frame you pause on.
Super Mario 64 speedrunning is down to an incredible science.
This is the strategy that Nobori implements, and it's how he's able to consistently pause buffer a B press to throw Bowser into the bomb. However, it seems like this runner couldn't be bothered to learn any of these strats. He instead opts to throw Bowser in the conventional way, while claiming to also be using a sound cue. Notice, however, that he also opts to turn his camera towards the bomb. As explained, turning the camera during spins does not affect the timing of any audio cues, and so it would be pointless to do this if the runner was truly blindfolded.
Thanks to
It's
give
pretty
sub
obvious
Catholic,
here that
the
he's just
resub
turning
Buffles,
the camera so he can visually
Sirach,
see when
and
to throw.
Atlas.
Moving on to Basement, we see another series of extremely suspicious and inconsistent setups. In Shifting Sandland, he is somehow able to get the Talon Star using a strategy only viable for visual runs. The amount of
Until
adjustment
now.
needed to long jump to the Fly Guy and twirl over to Klepto is simply too precise to be done consistently in a blindfolded run.
More like to be
Stop
done
with
at
that.
all.
He's able to do it first try with no issues. In Hazy Maze Cave, however, he reverts back to setups that might pass as blindfolded to try to further sell the idea that he cannot see. However, the
There's
quote-unquote
Subgoggin,
setups he is
Redurculus,
using
and
make
Gary.
absolutely no sense.
And Atlas.
On the emergency exit star, he seems to have created some kind of fake counting system.